Why this Social Security deposit matters right now. If you're retired and living on a fixed income, seeing a Social Security deposit hit your bank account can bring relief, but it can also bring questions. Many retirees are looking at their accounts right now and wondering the same thing. Why did this deposit arrive now? Is this a bonus, a change, or just my normal payment? And does this mean anything different going forward? Those are fair questions. Because for millions of retirees, Social Security isn't just extra income, it's the foundation that pays for housing, food, utilities, and health care. So when a deposit arrives earlier than expected, looks slightly different, or shows up during a time when headlines are full of confusing Social Security news, it's easy to assume something has changed. In most cases, this deposit is not a surprise increase, not a mistake, and not a new benefit. It's part of how Social Security schedules payments, processes monthly updates, and coordinates with banks, especially around busy periods when many retirees are being paid at once. In this video, we're going to slow everything down and explain exactly what this deposit really means for retirees on fixed income. No hype, no rumors, just clear, practical explanation so you know what's happening and what isn't. Understanding your deposit brings peace of mind, and peace of mind matters when every dollar counts. Why so many retirees are seeing payments arrive right now? Let's start by addressing the main question retirees are asking. Why are so many Social Security payments arriving right now? In most cases, this has nothing to do with a new benefit or a special program. It has everything to do with how Social Security schedules payments and how banks process deposits. Social Security does not send every payment on the same day. Payments are released in waves throughout the month based on your birth date and the type of benefit you receive. For retirees, that usually means payments scheduled for the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month, or for certain beneficiaries, deposits that arrive earlier due to holidays or processing adjustments. When banks receive these deposits, they sometimes post them as soon as they're cleared, which can make it feel like money arrived early or unexpectedly. On top of that, Social Security often processes Medicare premium deductions, tax withholding adjustments, and routine account updates around the same time each month. When all of this happens together, it can look like something new is happening, even when it's simply your regular payment moving through the system. The key point here is this. Most deposits arriving right now are normal, scheduled Social Security payments, not bonuses or surprise increases. In the next part, we'll talk about why the amount of this deposit sometimes looks different, especially for retirees living on fixed income. Why this Social Security deposit may look different than usual. For many retirees, the first thing they notice isn't when the deposit arrived, it's how much showed up in the account. Some people see a slightly smaller amount, others notice a modest increase, and a few feel unsure whether the number is even correct. In most cases, these differences are not random and they are not mistakes. Social Security payments are affected by several routine factors that are often processed at the same time. One of the biggest is Medicare Part B premiums. Medicare premiums are typically deducted directly from your Social Security check, and those deductions can change at the beginning of a new cycle or after an update is applied. When that happens, your net deposit changes even though your benefit itself may not. Another factor is tax withholding. Some retirees choose to have federal taxes withheld from their Social Security payments. If your withholding election was adjusted even slightly, the deposit amount will reflect that change. There are also routine system adjustments that occur when Social Security updates records, verifies information, or applies annual changes that were already approved earlier. When several of these updates happen close together, it can make the deposit look unexpected. Here's the key thing to remember. A different deposit amount does not automatically mean your benefit was reduced. In the next part, we'll talk about why retirees on fixed income feel these changes more strongly and why even small differences matter so much. Why retirees on fixed income feel these deposits more strongly for retirees living on a fixed income. Even a small change in a Social Security deposit can feel significant. That's because Social Security isn't just one part of the budget. For many people, it is the budget. Rent or mortgage payments are set. Utility bills arrive every month. Groceries, prescriptions, and medical costs don't pause or adjust. So when a deposit arrives that's a little higher, a little lower, or simply at a different time than expected, it naturally raises concern. For someone still working, a small difference might go unnoticed. For a retiree on fixed income, every dollar is already accounted for. That's why it's important to understand that most of these changes are timing or processing related, not signs that your financial stability is being taken away. Social Security operates on strict schedules and formulas. When deductions, withholdings, or system updates are applied, they don't always line up neatly with how retirees plan their monthly expenses. This can create anxiety, especially when combined with confusing headlines or rumors online. But here's the reassuring truth. In the vast majority of cases, these deposits reflect normal system activity, not new risks or reductions. Understanding how and why these payments move helps remove fear and replace it with clarity. In the next part, we'll talk about the most common reasons retirees misinterpret these deposits and how to avoid unnecessary worry. The most common reasons retirees misinterpret these deposits: when a Social Security deposit arrives and looks different than expected, the mind naturally jumps to conclusions. Many retirees immediately think something changed, or worse, something was taken away. In reality, most confusion comes from a few very common situations. The first is timing. Banks don't always post deposits at the exact same hour or even the same day each month. Holidays, weekends, and internal bank processing can make a normal payment feel early or late, even when Social Security sent it on schedule. The second reason is net versus gross amounts. What you see in your bank account is the net deposit after deductions like Medicare premiums or tax withholding. When one of those deductions changes, the deposit changes too, even if your actual benefit amount did not. Another common source of confusion is online rumors and headlines. Many retirees see words like extra payments, surprise deposits, or new checks and assume their deposit is connected. In most cases, it's not. Your payment is based on your individual record, not on viral stories. And finally, there's lack of explanation. Social Security does not send a notice for every routine adjustment. That silence can make retirees feel left in the dark. The important thing to remember is this: most unexpected deposits are not errors or bonuses. They're routine payments processed through a complex system. In the next part, we'll talk about how to quickly confirm what your deposit actually represents without stress or long phone calls. How to quickly confirm what your Social Security deposit means. When a Social Security deposit arrives and something feels different, the most important thing is to verify before you worry. You do not need to panic, and in most cases, you do not need to call Social Security right away. There are a few simple ways to confirm exactly what that deposit represents. The first step is to log into your My Social Security account. Inside your account, you can see your most recent payment amount, any deductions applied, and whether the payment matches your regular monthly benefit. If the amount shown there matches what hit your bank account, that's your confirmation. The deposit is normal. The second step is to review your Medicare deductions. Many retirees forget that Medicare premiums are taken directly out of their Social Security payment. If a premium adjustment was applied, your deposit will change even though your benefit did not. The third step is to look at your bank's posting details. Sometimes the deposit appears early because the bank posted it as soon as it cleared. That doesn't mean Social Security sent extra money. It just means the bank processed it faster. Only if the deposit truly does not match your Social Security record should you consider reaching out. In most cases, a quick review brings clarity and relief. In the next part, we'll talk about why calling Social Security too quickly can actually create more stress and when it truly makes sense to contact them. Why calling Social Security too quickly can create more stress. When a Social Security deposit looks different, many retirees feel an immediate urge to call Social Security. That reaction is completely understandable, but in many cases, calling too quickly can actually increase stress instead of reducing it. Here's why. First, Social Security phone lines are often busiest during times when many payments are being processed at once. That means long hold times, multiple transfers, and sometimes incomplete answers, especially for issues that are still resolving on their own. Second, many payment questions cannot be fully answered until the system finishes processing updates. Calling before that happens often results in being told to wait a few days, which can feel frustrating. Third, small timing or deduction-related changes are often normal and temporary. When retirees call too early, they may worry unnecessarily about something that would have corrected itself automatically. That doesn't mean you should never contact Social Security. It simply means timing matters. In most cases, it's best to review your My Social Security account first, allow a short window for processing, confirm whether Medicare or bank timing explains the change. If the deposit truly does not match your official payment record after that, then reaching out makes sense. Knowing when to wait and when to act helps protect your peace of mind. In the next part, we'll talk about the specific situations where you should contact Social Security right away without delay. When you should contact Social Security right away. While many deposit questions resolve on their own, there are situations where you should contact Social Security without waiting. Knowing the difference is important. You should reach out promptly if your deposit is completely missing, not just delayed by a day or two. If the payment date has passed and no deposit appears, and your My Social Security account shows no payment issued, that's a valid reason to act. You should also contact Social Security if the amount deposited does not match what's shown in your official payment record. If your online account lists one amount but your bank received something significantly different, that mismatch needs clarification. Another reason to call is if your payment was reduced and you received a notice explaining a permanent change. This could involve income-related adjustments, overpayment recovery, or benefit status changes. In these cases, Social Security should be able to explain the reason clearly. You should also act quickly if your bank information was recently changed and the deposit did not arrive as expected. Banking errors need immediate attention to prevent longer delays. Here's the key idea. Contact Social Security when the issue is clear, confirmed, and persistent, not when it's based on uncertainty or timing alone. That approach saves time, reduces stress, and leads to better answers. In the next part, we'll talk about how to protect yourself from scams that appear during these payment periods, especially when retirees are watching their accounts close. Why scammers target retirees when payments arrive. Whenever Social Security payments are being discussed more than usual, scammers see an opportunity. And when deposits are arriving and retirees are checking their bank accounts closely, that opportunity grows even bigger. Scammers know that retirees living on fixed income are paying attention to every dollar. They use that awareness to create fear and urgency. You may receive phone calls, emails, or text messages claiming your Social Security deposit was flagged, your payment is on hold, or your benefits require immediate verification. These messages often sound official and urgent. Here is the most important thing to remember. Social Security does not call, text, or email demanding immediate action or personal information. They do not threaten to stop your benefits over the phone. They do not ask for bank numbers by text, and they do not pressure you to act within hours. If there is a real issue with your payment, it will appear in your official My Social Security account or a written notice sent through the mail. Scammers rely on confusion, especially when people are already unsure about their deposits. If a message feels rushed, alarming, or unfamiliar, pause. Do not click links. Do not share personal details, and do not let fear guide your decisions. Protecting your Social Security income means staying informed and staying cautious. In the next part, we'll talk about how these deposits fit into the larger picture of monthly Social Security income and what retirees should realistically expect going forward. How this deposit fits into your overall monthly income. It's important to step back for a moment and look at this Social Security deposit in context. For retirees on fixed income, Social Security isn't just a payment, it's the foundation of the entire monthly budget. That's why even routine deposits can feel uncertain when they arrive at unexpected times or look slightly different. But in most cases, this deposit fits squarely into your normal monthly income pattern. Social Security pays benefits on a predictable schedule. What changes is not the benefit itself, but the timing of when banks post the deposit or when deductions are applied. This means your overall income for the month usually remains the same, even if the deposit appears earlier, later, or with a slightly different net amount. It's also important to remember that Social Security is designed to be stable, not variable. Unlike investment income or market-based accounts, your benefit does not fluctuate randomly from month to month. When something looks different, it's almost always tied to timing adjustments, Medicare or tax deductions, or routine system processing. Understanding this helps retirees avoid making unnecessary financial decisions based on fear, like cutting essential expenses or delaying medical care. The goal is stability, not surprise. In the next part, we'll talk about how retirees can use this understanding to plan their spending calmly, even when deposits don't look exactly the same every month. How to plan your spending when deposits don't look exactly the same. Once you understand that most Social Security deposits are stable, even when they look a little different, planning your spending becomes much easier. For retirees on fixed income, the key is consistency, not perfection. Social Security is designed to provide a reliable base each month. That base doesn't usually change, but the timing and net amount can shift slightly due to deductions or processing. So how do you plan around that? First, base your budget on your regular benefit amount, not the exact deposit day. If your benefit is consistent, a 1 or 2 day timing difference should not force major changes in how you live. Second, separate fixed expenses from flexible ones. Rent, utilities, insurance, and prescriptions should be prioritized. More flexible spending can be adjusted slightly if a deposit timing feels off. Third, avoid reacting emotionally to a single deposit. Making sudden decisions, like delaying essential care or cutting groceries, based on one deposit can create unnecessary hardship. Fourth, remember that short-term timing issues usually correct themselves. If a deposit arrived early, late, or looked slightly different, the following month often returns to normal. Understanding how Social Security flows each month allows you to stay calm and in control, even when things don't look exactly the same on paper. In the next part, we'll talk about what Social Security will and will not change going forward so you know what to realistically expect as a retiree. What Social Security is and is not changing going forward. With so much discussion around deposits and payments, it's easy to assume that Social Security itself is constantly changing. In reality, most of the program remains very stable, especially for retirees already receiving benefits. Let's be clear about what is not changing. Social Security is not suddenly reducing benefits across the board. There is no surprise policy eliminating payments for retirees on fixed income. And there is no requirement to reapply or requalify just because a deposit looks different. Your core benefit, the amount you're entitled to based on your work history, remains the same unless Social Security formally notifies you of a change. What does continue to change is how payments are processed and displayed. Bank posting times vary. Medicare premiums and tax withholding can adjust. System updates and verification steps happen quietly in the background. These are administrative processes, not fundamental changes to the program. It's also important to understand that Social Security communicates major changes clearly and formally. If something truly affects your benefit long-term, you will receive official notice. This is why understanding the difference between system activity and program changes matters so much. It helps retirees stay grounded and avoid unnecessary fear. In the next part, we'll talk about how to stay informed without getting overwhelmed, especially when news and online videos make every deposit sound urgent. How to stay informed without feeling anxious or overwhelmed. One of the hardest things for retirees today isn't managing money, it's managing information. Every day, there are headlines, videos, and posts claiming Social Security payments are changing, being delayed, or arriving now for a special reason. For someone living on fixed income, that constant noise can be unsettling. The truth is, most of that information is either incomplete, exaggerated, or not relevant to your personal situation. So how do you stay informed without feeling anxious? First, prioritize official sources. Your My Social Security account and official letters from Social Security are the most reliable places to find information that actually applies to you. If something truly affects your benefits, it will show up there. Second, remember that routine deposits do not require constant monitoring. Checking your account once is enough. Rechecking multiple times a day only increases stress without adding clarity. Third, be cautious with dramatic language. Phrases like urgent, surprise deposit, or major change are often used to get attention, not to explain facts. Your benefits are based on your record, not on headlines. Finally, trust what you can verify. If your deposit matches your Social Security record, that's your confirmation. Staying informed should give you confidence, not worry. In the final part, we'll wrap everything together and focus on peace of mind for retirees living on fixed income. What this deposit really means for your peace of mind. As we bring everything together, here is the most important message to remember. This Social Security deposit arriving now is not a warning sign. It is not a sudden change in your benefits, and it is not something most retirees need to worry about. For the vast majority of people living on fixed income, this deposit simply reflects how Social Security schedules payments, applies deductions, and coordinates with banks. It may arrive a little earlier, it may look slightly different, but in most cases, it represents the same steady support you've been relying on month after month. Social Security was designed to provide stability, not surprises. And while the system can feel confusing at times, especially when information is incomplete or sensationalized online, the reality is far calmer than the headlines suggest. If your deposit matches your official Social Security record, that is your confirmation that everything is functioning as it should. So take a breath. You do not need to panic, you do not need to rush, and you do not need to make sudden financial decisions based on fear. Understanding what your deposit really means gives you confidence, and confidence brings peace of mind. And for retirees living on fixed income, peace of mind is just as important as the payment itself. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Stability, clarity, and moving forward with confidence. As we close this conversation, let's return to what matters most for retirees living on fixed income: stability and clarity. Seeing a Social Security payment arrive, whether it's right on time, a little early, or looking slightly different, naturally raises questions. That reaction is normal. When every dollar has a purpose, uncertainty feels personal. But here's the key takeaway. For the overwhelming majority of retirees, this deposit does not signal a change in benefits, a hidden adjustment, or a problem with your account. It reflects routine processing, the way Social Security coordinates payments, deductions, and banking systems each month. Social Security remains one of the most stable income sources retirees have. While the system can feel complex, its purpose is consistency, not surprise. The most powerful tool you have is understanding. When you know how payments work, what affects the deposit amount, and how to verify information calmly, uncertainty loses its grip. You no longer need to react to every headline or rumor. Instead, you can focus on what truly matters: managing your expenses, protecting your health, and enjoying the security you've earned over a lifetime of work. If this explanation brought you clarity, consider sharing it with another retiree who may be feeling unsure. Sometimes understanding spreads peace of mind. Thank you for listening, and may you move forward with confidence, stability, and calm in the months ahead.